All right, man, family. Sorry about that, man. We had some issues trying to get our video to upload. But welcome to our EOC live stream tonight, family. You guys have been asking, so we wanted to make sure we helped you guys prepare. So tonight we're going to go over about 20 questions. We got one of the most recent EOC books, so all of these questions should be relevant to your test. And just to let you guys know, what the biggest thing about this is that we're also rolling out a new EOC series to help you guys get prepared for this. So check out our membership as well. So once we start off, we're going to start off with solving inequalities. And the biggest thing when we're talking about inequalities, math family, is just for us to understand that it's the same steps as solving equations. And we want to basically isolate that variable. So when we look on this side here, we're going to start off by distributing. So we get 15 plus 6n is greater than or equal to 7 plus 10n. So as a result of this now, right, remember we want variables, constants on one side. So I'm going to subtract 6n so I could keep my variables positive, and I'm going to bring everything else down. Oops. Yeah, 7 plus 4n. So now at this step, family, we notice that variable is still not by itself. So we are going to subtract. So as a result now, I'm going to get 8 is greater than or equal to 4n. And for us to solve, we are going to divide by 4. So our final answer is 2 is greater than or equal to n. Now let's say they asked us to graph this on an inequality, or on a number line, right? So if we rewrote this with the variable first, we know that n is less than or equal to positive 2. So when we go on our number line, right, let's say we have 1, 2, 3, 0, negative 1, right? Because of the inequality sign, we should know closed circle going to the numbers less than 2, which is going to be that direction. Okay, so that's problem number 1. When we go over to problem number 2, we're talking about equations that have fractions, right? And family, you know they're going to ask you this. So we had the problem right here, right? 5a over 7 minus 21 is equal to negative 46. So there's two ways we could do this, right? We could get rid of the fraction or we could solve with it. But what I always advise you guys to do is just get the fraction by itself. So we add 21 on both sides. So now I have 5a over 7 is equal to what? I want to say negative 25. All right. Negative 25. So the way that I normally tell you guys to do this is split the fraction, right? So we'll multiply by 7 and then divide. So this is what I mean, right? Multiply by 7. We get 5a is equal to, I want to say negative 175. Let's double check that. Yeah, negative 175. And then we divide by 5 to get our final answer. And this should be, I believe, negative 35. Let's see. Yeah, so we'll get negative 35. Now, I'm going to show you guys another way that's also, it's probably a little easier. So let's say we went back, right? And we wanted to do this all in one step. So let's say we went right here. 5a over 7 is equal to negative 25. So if we divide by the entire fraction and simplify it, we'll have negative 25 divided by 5 over 7. Now, don't forget your fraction rules, right? Only thing that changes is the division changes to multiplication, and then we have 7 over 5. And because y'all follow my channel, you know I'm going to make it easy for you. Cross cancel. So divide by 5, that's 1. Divide by 5, this is 5. All we're doing now is multiplying the top to get negative 5 times 7, which gives me a is equal to negative 35. So family, knowing how to solve these problems more than one way is always going to help make it easier for you, okay? All right, so we got those done. Let's go on to our next problem. All right, so the next problem, this is what they asked us to do. They want us to graph a line. And you guys know that's going to be there. I got you. So we have our coordinate plane, right? And don't be making fun of my lines, man. Art is probably one of my worst subjects. All right. So they told us to graph this. Y is equal to negative 2x minus 5. Now, family, first thing we need to know, there's two things we need to know. One, the first point we're plotting is the y-intercept. So we go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So here goes our first point, 0, negative 5. Now, this is where students get it wrong. They don't know which way to go for rise over run. Remember, we want a negative slope, so our line should look like this. So from this point, we could either go up and to the left or down to the right, and I'm going to show you. So our slope is 2 over 1. So my rise is 1, 2 over 1. So this is where that point should go, and this would be, let's see, negative 1, negative 3. And then we could draw a line through both those points just like that. Now, if you want to go the other direction, meaning we go down 1, 2 over 1, we'll still be on the same line. So just please make sure you guys remember that, all right? Because they're definitely going to ask you this question. Now, the second graph that I want to show you all is going to be a compound inequality. So they gave us a graph that looks something like this. All right? We have negative 2 right here, and we have positive 3. And what they want us to do is basically match the equation, right, or the inequality for this graph. So number one, we should understand that this is not going to be an or inequality. I mean, x is less than negative 2 or x is greater than 3. This is an and inequality, meaning that our x is in the middle. So my inequality should look something like this, right? This is how it should look. It should take the form of this. And it should not have or, like I said. Now, the second thing is going to be open and closed circles. They're going to throw different signs at you. This one right here, we should know it's going to either be less than or greater than because of that open circle. And this one right here is going to be less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. So what is the answer for this going to look like? Well, think about it, right? X is going to be greater than negative 2 and less than or equal to 3. So if this was multiple choice, this is what we would be looking for. Other things you're going to see are something like this. As a matter of fact, let's switch into blue. So they're going to give you the numbers, right? They're going to switch the signs. So if this was the inequality they gave you, what happens is now in blue, this would be a closed circle, and then 3 would be an open circle just based off the inequality symbols. So a lot of times students get this wrong, but they just forget how the open and closed circles are the relationship with the greater than or equal to sign and so forth, okay? All right. Oh, we got a 90 on your Algebra 1 EOC? That's what I'm talking about. Congratulations, by the way. All right, so let's say we stopped right there. And the next thing we want to do now, let's see, is solving equations or rearranging equations. So they gave us something like this. A over C is equal to B over D. And they want us to solve for C. Now I'm gonna tell you guys honestly, the reason why everyone gets this wrong is because they forget a simple rule and they try to. Oh yeah, I got you, man. We're doing the literal equations right now. So typically what happens is students want to go through multiply by C, and do something like this. A is equal to B times C over D, and then they multiply by D and so forth, right? We could do that, family, right? But before we do that, let's do something easier. Let's cross multiply. Let's try that. So if we cross multiplied, we would have b times c is equal to a times d. Now, if we want to solve for c, we just divide. So c is equal to a times d over b. Let's double check to make sure we got that right. Yeah. And just for practice sake, let's say you were a student who didn't cross multiply and you're doing it the other way. So let's look, right? Multiplied there, multiplied here. So a times d is equal to b times c. So it would be the same thing, but it's just more steps. So if I were you, I would try to just cross multiply rather than multiplying by c, multiplying by d. It's going to be a lot more steps and we're going to get confused. And for my one follower, the quadratics is going to be towards the end. I'm going to be here for about an hour and a half, guys. I'm sorry. But we're going to get this stuff in. All right. So this is the first literal equation, right? The second one, this is what they give us. X is equal to y over n plus 1. They told us to solve for n. So family, let's just subtract 1. When I subtract 1, I have x minus 1 is equal to y over n, right? Now, okay, I knew that was right. I multiply by n to get rid of my fraction, and I go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. So now I have n times x minus 1 is equal to y, right? Now to get n by itself, we're going to divide by x minus 1. Go ahead, divide by x minus 1. So now I'll say n is equal to y divided by x minus 1. Okay? Okay. All right. All right, so our next problem, and I really like this problem right here, family. I thought about y'all, is we're talking about functions. So they gave us this. F of x is equal to 4x minus 2. And they tell us that f of x is equal to 18, and they want us to find x. So the reason I wanted to go over this problem, right, is because most students are going to get this wrong because of one simple mistake. And I got you. So look, what most students are going to do, they're going to come here and they're going to say, all right, this is easy. All I need to do is plug in. Sorry, guys. So once they plug 18 in for x, let's see what we get. I don't want to do all this multiplication. We're going to get 72 minus 2, and then we get f of 18 is equal to 70, right? But that's wrong. That's wrong. Why? Let's go back, right? Let's go back, and I got something for you. F of x is the same thing as y. Does that change anything? So it says y is equal to 4x minus 2, and y is equal to 18, find x. So what they really asked us for, hold on, is they're saying, hey, when this is equal to 18, when our function is equal to 18, what would the x be? So we're actually working backwards. So now we're trying to solve for x, right? Because we know f of x, y is 18. What is the x value that would give us that answer? That's all they're asking. So 20 is equal to 4x. We divide by 4. And the real answer is B, 5. So just please make sure when you guys are going through this, take your time, man, because this was a simple trick that I'm not even going to lie, I would have got wrong, okay? And I'm going to show you guys the difference. So let's say we go to our next function. Let's see. Hopefully I can fit this on here. So they gave us f of x is equal to negative 5x plus 3. And they want us to find f of m plus 2. And I'm going to write the answer choices out. Let's do that real quick. All right, so family, I just want you guys to pay attention to how they wrote it, right? So this says find f of x is equal to 18. This one says find f, and then inside the parentheses, they put what the x is. So when we go to solve this, right? When we go to solve this now, the answer choice won't be A. We have -5, and remember, x now is replaced with this expression, m plus 2. That's the expression. We close the parentheses, plus 3. So now when I distribute, I have -5m minus 10. I bring this 3 down because I don't multiply it with 5. It's not inside the parentheses. Combine my like terms. -5m minus 7 is going to be my answer once I plug m plus 2 in for x. So the answer choice should be C. Okay? All right, so we got those two done. All right, so the last function problem they gave us, and the reason I want to go over this is typically what you will see. They're going to give us some type of quadratic. So they said g of x is equal to the opposite of x, ooh, not the opposite of x, I'm sorry, is equal to x minus 2x squared. And they told us find g of -8. So they're telling us, hey, plug 8 in for x, tell us what the function is equal to. So we have g of -8 is equal to what? We plug 8 in we plug 8 in everywhere we see x. Typically, to plug the value in or not, they're going to tell you find something, right? Or they're going to say find f of something. So if you whenever you get to rewind this, the first problem said find x, right? For the f of 18. And the second one I did in red, it said find f of m plus 2. And you see it right here. Ooh, I spelled that wrong, guys. That's why I do math. I put a G, it's supposed to be D. Don't tell no one I can't spell. But they're typically going to tell you what they want you to find, okay? So now we substitute in. This is just saying, hey, when x is -8. So I'm just going to leave that for now. So we have -8 minus 2 times positive 64. That's what we get after we square, right? 8. So 64 times 2, we get g of -8 is equal to -8 minus 128. So our final answer for this would be -136. So if they ask you, if there's a question where you have to select the answer and they say, hey, what does this answer represent? All we're saying is that our output, right? When we put 8 in for the input, it'll give us an output of 136. Okay. So just please make sure you guys remember that. All right. So the next one, I got an arithmetic sequence problem for you guys. So they said they gave us the terms in the sequence: -9, -6, -3. And they told us to find, okay, I'm sorry. It says what term would 87 be in the sequence? Okay. So the first three numbers in the sequence, they're asking us 87 is in the sequence. What is the term? What term number it is? So what we need to do is we have to know the explicit formula, right? So we're talking about a sub n is equal to a1 times n minus 1 by D, right? And I'm just going to explain each part of it. So D, we know, is the common difference. So when we look at this common difference, we have a common difference of 3, and we have another common difference of 3, right? And with this, we're going to start plugging it in. So A sub n is just the term, or basically the number in the sequence. They told us it's 87, right? That is the number. Now we go over to A. All right, sorry about that, family. So now we go back. We know the first term is -9, and we're talking about n minus 1 times the common difference, which is 3. So we had to know the formula and start plugging it in, because what they want to know is what term in the sequence gives us 87. And that's what we're trying to figure out. And what term in the sequence is it? So now I feel like I missed something. Okay, I knew I missed something. This is plus. I'm sorry, guys. It's supposed to be a plus right here. I knew I missed something though. It looked weird. All right, so now we're going to divide both sides by 3. And once I do that, wait, hold on, no. Let's go back. It's because I wrote this wrong. All right, so we have 87 is equal to our first term, -9 plus n minus 1 times 3. All right, family, so I'm sorry. Peters does get nervous sometimes. So no, we're not going to divide first. We're going to add this over first. I apologize. So we add 9 over, and we're going to get, I want to say this is 96. What's up? Okay. So now we have 96 is equal to -1 times 3. We're now going to divide by 3. Once we do, we're going to get 32 is equal to n minus 1. And once we add 1 on both sides, we know that 33 is equal to n. So this would be the 33rd term in the sequence. My bad about that mistake, family. I get nervous sometimes. All right. So now we're going to start getting into the bulk of it. Really, the bulk of this, from what I've seen, is equations, system of equations, linear inequalities, and quadratics, especially completing the square. And I'm going to touch on all those things for you guys tonight. So the next thing they do, they want us to find the slope. They're going to definitely ask you this. So they say find slope, and they give us 2 points: 1, 6, 1, -9. And you have to understand this concept if you want to dominate slope, I promise you. So let's say we go in and we do the slope formula, right? So m is equal to -9 minus 6 over 1 minus 1. So m is equal to -15 over 0. Now, this is the biggest thing they're going to ask you guys. Let's say we flip this, 0 over -15. One of these has a slope, one does not. You should always know if 0's in the denominator, it's undefined, so there is no slope. Here, we have a slope and it's 0. So what does Peters mean? So if I drew a graph for this top one, right? Let's say we use these points, right? So we go 1 up 6, right? So let's say this is 1, 6 here. Then we go 1 down 9. So when we have a 0 in the denominator, we have a vertical line like this, okay? So please make sure you guys know and understand that. It is a vertical line. Now, right here, this is going to be a horizontal line. So let's say I switch my points around. So I did this. I had 6, 1, and I had -9, 1, meaning now I have the same y coordinates. How would that change everything? So when we go back now, when we look, let's say we did 6, 1. So I went out 6, right? 6. Yeah, it'll be the same thing. So we go to the right 6, up 1. Let's see that here. Yeah. So if I just plotted these 2 points real quick, family, this is what it would look like. So this is a slope of 0. This is an undefined slope. Just put it in your calculator. It's going to say error. Now, the next thing that they're going to ask you is this. They're going to give you an equation in standard form, and they want you to write it in slope-intercept form. So let's say we had this. 5x minus 12y is equal to 24. We want to get it to y is equal to mx plus b. So the first thing we're going to do is subtract 5x. So negative 12y is equal to negative 5x plus 24. Now I divide by 12 to get y by itself. And I do the same thing with everything else. Just don't forget your negative. Y is equal to positive 5 over 12x minus 2. Now, real quick, if they asked you for the slope of a perpendicular line, they're going to ask you this. Negative reciprocal, right? So it's negative, we flip it. 12 over 5. They're going to ask you this. And matter of fact, let's go to my next problem so I could show you exactly what I mean. All right. So I got you. So now they tell us, right? They want us to write the equation of a line in standard form that passes through this point. And they say it's perpendicular to y is equal to negative 6x plus 9. All right. Oh, a 5 on the EOC. Hey, congratulations, Nintendo. But I hope your summer is good because of that. And this is why we're doing it. So now look, family, I'm going to tell you right now, this is all we need right here. Y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. Now, I just told you about the perpendicular slope, right? No. So the last problem, when we went from standard form to slope-intercept form, we had y is equal to 5 over 12x. I just want to answer this real quick. Now, if they were asking us for the slope for a perpendicular line, then it would be the negative reciprocal, meaning negative 12 over 5. In this problem, I'm going to show you what I mean. Because if you look right here, family, this is the slope, right? And what we're going to do is, okay, I got it, Peter. So y minus negative 1. So that turns to y plus 1. Don't make that mistake because they always do a negative. They're going to try to get you. Times what? A lot of y'all going to come in and put negative 6 and then x minus 1. But this is wrong because of the negative reciprocal slope. You didn't take care of it, right? So let's say we have negative 6, turn it into a fraction. Now I flip it 1 over 6 and I turn it positive. This is the new slope for the perpendicular line. So if you don't get this slope by taking a negative reciprocal from this equation they gave us in the problem, can't get this right. Cannot get this right, okay? So this is why I want to go over it. And whoever asked that question, man, thank you. Because this is where students make the mistake. So this is not negative 6. We're plugging in positive 1 over 6. Now I'm going to distribute, right? Y plus 1 is equal to what? 1 over 6x minus 1 over 6. Now we need to get y by itself. So now I subtract 1 minus 1. So when we come now and we focus right here, this is the like terms, but they don't have the same denominator. Just remember, if we change 1 to 6 over 6, this is the same thing as 1. Fractions have to have the same denominator for us to add or subtract. So now 1 over 6 stays the same. Negative 1 minus 6 is negative 7 over 6. Now at this step, we're almost done. It asked us for standard form. So it has to be ax plus by is equal to c, not the slope-intercept form. Okay? Okay, good. All right, so now what happens is, right here, we have to get rid of the fraction. So we're going to multiply this side by 6, multiply this side by 6. So we have 6y is equal to just the numerators, x minus 7. Mind you, still not in standard form, so I'm going to subtract x. So now I have negative x plus 6y is equal to negative 7. But 9 times out of 10, you're not going to see the equation like this where x is negative. So if we divide everything by 1, our final answer should be positive x minus 6y is equal to positive 7. So just make sure that you guys understand and remember that, okay? All right, so now we're about to get into the fun. So I'm going to do one system of equations problem, and then we have properties of exponents, and we have quadratics. I know you guys really want to get to the quadratics. All right, so systems of equation. This is what they gave us. 2x plus y is equal to 20. 6x minus 5y is equal to 12. So let's say we did elimination, right? And we multiplied this first equation by -3 so we could cancel our x's. So once I rewrite this, we have -6x, right? Then we multiply -3 and y to get -3y. And this is equal to -3 times 20, which is -60. This equation, number 2, stays the same, so I rewrite it. Eliminate that variable. -8y is equal to -72. Let's see. Oh, hold up. Oh, no, I'm wrong. Sorry. 48. -48. Yep, that looks better. So now we divide by -8. And family, just make sure you double check your work because you guys just seen moving too fast and I almost incorrectly added those. All right. So now at this step, we divide by -8. Both of these numbers are negative. So y is going to be positive, which will be 6. Now that we got that, let's just go plug it back into the simple equation. So now we have 2 times x plus 6 is equal to 20. We're plugging it into the original equation. We subtract 6 on both sides. 2x is equal to 14. Once we divide by 2, x is equal to 7. Please just remember that both of these answers are ordered pairs. So if they ask for the solution to the systems of equation, the answer would be hold on one second. And why did oh, I don't know why I did that. 7. Why did I put 5? I'm sorry, 7, 6, family. Yeah, x for 7, y for 6. Okay. Now, real quick, before we go on to the next thing, let's say if we use substitution, because not everyone is really good with elimination. So substitution, we could get y by itself. So if I did this same problem using substitution and I subtract 2x, I would have y is equal to -2x plus 20. Now, if I wanted to use substitution, wherever I see y in the second equation, this is what I'm going to plug in. So now I have 6 times x minus 5, and instead of y, I put -2x plus 20, close the parentheses, and this is equal to 12. Okay. Okay. All right. So now we have -6x minus 10x minus 100 is equal to 12. We're going to clean that up real quick. Make sure I didn't make no mistake real quick. There we go. Double check the work. Okay. So now we have 16x minus 100 is equal to 12. We're going to combine on 112 because those are like terms. So we add on both sides. 16x is equal to 112. So now when we go back and we divide for x, we're still going to get 7. So either way that you use, family, you will get the right answer. Okay. All right. All right, fam. So right here, what happens is they want us to basically graph and shade this linear inequality. All right. So first off, we just need to figure out what we need to graph, right? So we could graph by intercept, or we could subtract 2x to have negative y is less than negative 2x plus 10. Now just remember, family, that y can't be negative, so we make it positive. Inequality sign flips, and the signs for the other terms also flip. Okay. All right. Okay. So real quick, when x is 0, we know y is going to be 10, right? Simple substitution. And when y is 0, we know that 2x is greater than 10. And once we divide, we know x is greater than 5, right? So we go up here and go to 5, and we're going to plot our points. And we know this is a positive slope. So once I connect my 2 points, right, we're now trying to figure out which side are we going to graph on. Okay, we got that. So this is the easiest way to do it, family. So here goes my equation, right? We could use this one, or we could use the original one. I'm going to use the original one, and I'm going to use the point 0, 0, right? Let's see. So now I'm saying that 2 times 0 minus y, minus 0 is less than 10. So now we're saying that 0 is less than 10. If it is a true statement, we're going to shade on the side where that point is. So since this is true, this is how we're going to shade it. So if they ask you to graph and shade this linear inequality, this is how we would do it. Now, if you use this as well, the slope intercept, it's the same thing, family. So let me show you, right? So we have 0 for y is greater than 2 times 0 minus 10. So we're saying 0 is greater than negative 10. That is true. So we're going to shade where 0, 0 is. Okay. All right. So now we're going to get into properties of exponents. And I believe I have some quadratics as well. So let's get to it. And I really hope you guys have been enjoying this video, family. This is why we do it, so that we can help you guys pass. And best of luck to everyone here. Please like this video, share it to your friends that are also taking the algebra and EOC. All right, so this is what they gave us. We have 4a to the third, b to the negative 2 to the negative third power. Family, just remember, we're multiplying the exponents. So this turns into 4 to the negative 3, a to the negative 9, b to the positive 6. Now you know we cannot have negative exponents. So we're going to bring it down to the bottom of the fraction. So now we have b to the 6 all over 4 to the positive third, a to the positive 9. We simplify that, and we have b to the 6 over 64, a to the 9th. This is how I'll solve that problem. Now, second problem, right? This is a little bit different. And these are the two rules that most students always get wrong. So family, please, if you see an exponent on the outside and there's parentheses, we're 9 times out of 10 going to multiply those exponents. So when we get to our second example, right? This is what they gave us. I wouldn't try to divide because we're not going to get whole numbers with 3x squared and 4x to the 6. Let's multiply straight across. 3 times 8 gives me 24. When we're multiplying with the same base like this, meaning there's no exponent on the outside of parentheses, we just add. So 6 and 2 gives me x to the 8th, and this is all over 4x to the 6. 24 divided by 4 is 6, and when we have fractions with exponents, we subtract. So this turns into 6x to the second power. All right? All right. So the next question we have, we're going to be dealing with exponential exponents, all right, or exponential form. So this is what they're going to give us. And I want to show you guys two different ways to solve this, okay? So we have the cube root of 8a squared multiplied by the cube root of 8ab to the 5th. Now, what a lot of students are going to try to do is they're going to try to simplify everything. So they're going to say, all right, I got 8 to the 1/3, a to the 2/3, and I'm going to multiply this by 8 to the 1/3, a to the 1/3, and then b to the 5/3. You can switch it like that, right? You absolutely can. And what happens is we could simplify this, right? So this turns into 8 to the 1/3 is just 2. A to the 2/3 stay the same times 2, a to the 1/3, b to the 5/3. Now, once we multiply 2 and 2, we're going to get 4. We add our exponents for a, so we get 3/3, and then b to the 5/3 stays the same. Now, the very last step, we're just going to simplify this as a to the first power. And if we have anything to the first power, we don't have to put it. So this would just be 4a b to the 5/3. Now, let me tell you guys how I would solve it and what I think may be the easier route. If this works for you, put it in your back pocket. If not, it's okay. So we know they're the same root. Let's just combine it under one radical. 8 times 8, 64, right? A squared times a to the 3rd, b to the 5th stays the same. Now watch this, right? We know the cube root of 64 is just 4, right? Because 4 times 4 is 16, times 4 is what? 64. So we got 4. We take the cube root of a to the 3rd. That's just a. And we can't do anything with b to the 5th, so we just rewrite it as b to the 5/3. So this is how I would solve it. But for us to solve it like this, we would have to know properties of exponents, and these two have to have the same roots, okay? All right, so we got those two done. All right, so I got this done. Let's go to the next one. All right, so this is one that I really like. So we have 2 to the x power is equal to 16, and they want us to find 2 to the x plus 4 power. So right here, guys, we have to find the same base. And if I'm not mistaken, I think 2 times 4. Yeah. So we need to have the same base. So we're going to write 16. So 2 to the x is equal to 2 to the 4th power. Now that we have the same base, we could drop it and worry about our exponents, meaning x is equal to 4, right? Now we could take this answer and plug it in. So 2 to the 4th power plus 4 is equal to 2 to the 8th power, right? Make sure I got that right. Perfect. Okay, beautiful. So now all you have to do is go in your calculator and multiply. But just for this video purpose, this is what I'm going to do. We're going to split this 2 to the third times 2 to the third times 2 squared, right? Because when we add these up, 3, 6, 8. This is how you do it, right? We know 2 to the third is 8 times 8 again times 4, and this is our answer. So once we go in now, we simplify. Our final answer should be 256. All right. I know you guys are going to have calculators, but just in case, you could always use this as well. Now, my other problem that I wanted to do on these type of equations, do I need to do one more? Nah, we're not going to do that one. Okay, yeah, let's switch it up now. All right, so real quick, you guys know radicals is going to be on this bad boy. So let's get one in real quick. Biggest thing I'm going to tell you guys is please, man, when you have large radicals, see if you could break it down. Because when I look at this, right, we could break this down as 2 times 121 times 5. That's a perfect square. So now we have 2 times 11 times radical 5 times radical 55, right? So now we simplify 22 radical 5 multiplied by radical 55, okay? And family, you don't have to simplify this. I just like to work with smaller radicals because it makes it 10 times easier for us to simplify, okay? So now all we're doing now is multiplying these two radicals. 5 times 55, we're going to get 22 radical 275. So off rip, I know that 25 is probably going to go into this. So when I divide 275 by 25, I get 11. So we break this back down to 25 times, I think I said 11, right? Yep. This comes out as 5. We have 22 times 5 times radical 11, which will give us 110 radical 11. So like I said, family, you don't have to break this down. You could have just multiplied straight and then do simplification one time. All right, another thing they're gonna ask you, oh my gosh, please guys, make sure you use your box method. They're gonna ask you to expand the binomial, right? And they're gonna try to give you all these letters to kind of confuse you. Hey, if this is something that you struggle with, please use the box method, right? So draw your box. We're doing 2 by 2, a binomial times a binomial, right? We know what they want us to multiply. And typically, when you have more than one variable, put in alphabetical order. So 25t to the fourth minus 10t squared w minus 10t squared w plus 4w squared. You always know like terms run diagonal. 25t to the fourth stays the same, minus 20t squared w plus 4w squared. So please make sure you expand your binomial. We are not just squaring the first term to get 25t to the fourth plus 4w squared. That's only if we have the difference of squares. All right. So another problem that you guys are going to see on the EOC is polynomials and basically simplifying or dividing. And once we do this, family, just please remember that this follows the properties of exponents. So when we look at the first one, 3 divided by 3 is just 1. We don't need that. X to the fourth divided by x to the third. 9 divided by 3, that's 3. X squared divided by x, that's x. And then 15 divided by 3 is just 5. X divided by X cancels out. This should be our final answer. Okay, so simplifying polynomials, you have to remember your exponent rules. Now, something else I wanted to show you is this right here, because they're going to ask you this, and I used to tell my students, please don't fall for this. All right, let's write these answer choices. A. All right, so one question that always asks you is, what is the degree of the polynomial? And I know what everyone gonna do. Everyone gonna come in and be like, Peter, this is easy, man, it's 5. And this is wrong. You know why. If there's other variables, we have, remember that the degree, right, is the sum, or is just basically the highest exponent. And when we have monomials, we have to make sure that we add all the exponents to get the degree. So right here, this has a degree of 3 because this exponent has a 1. Same thing with this middle term. So when we look at this problem, the actual answer is 6. The highest exponent degree is going to be 6, and it comes from this right here, 4 plus 1 plus 1. So please just analyze the problem a little bit more because they always throw this out here and students rush to answer. Okay. All right. So our next problem now, we're going over to the difference of squares. So when we get here now, we have 4y squared minus 9. So typically, guys, when we know we're dealing with the difference of squares, there's just a binomial in some type of square root or x squared term. So when we break this down, we know the square root of 4 is 2, square root of y squared is y, square root of 9 is 3. All we need to do is rewrite that binomial, change the signs. So if we're factoring the difference of squares for that problem, that would be our answer. Now, let's say if we had a different one where we had 25, I'm sorry, not 25, 2x to the 5th minus 98x to the 3rd. This is also the difference of squares, but you have to take out a greatest common factor. So we could take out 2x to the 3rd. So when I take out 2x to the 3rd, I'm left with x squared minus 49. So yes, this didn't really start off as a difference of squares, but once we factored, it did. So this stays in front, and we break this down as x plus 7 times x minus 7. Okay. I seen someone say a graph problem. I think I have something that you may like. So in our next problem, they're going to ask us about quadratic equations. And when we look at the quadratic equation, right, this is what they gave us. So they told us that this vertex is 1, -3, and they gave us the y-intercept. I know this isn't drawn to scale, but just imagine, they gave us the y-intercept of 0, 2. So just remember, family, we have to remember of transformations. So they're basically asking us for the quadratic equation for this graph. And if we remember, vertex form is y is equal to a times x minus h, I think it was plus k. Make sure I look at that again. Yeah. So when we look at this vertex, right, we know that this is hk. And if we think about it in terms of transformations, right, because this is a multiple choice question, we know that our answer will be y is equal to what? X minus 1 minus 3. Oops. And when you look at this, right, think about the transformation. If we were at the parent graph, right, y is equal to x squared, to get here, What did we do? We went to the right one, down 3. That's what this vertex form equation is saying. We're going to go to the right one, down 3. So if you see these type of problems, please remember the vertex form equation because it may make it easier for you guys. All right, so let's get into some factoring. So in this problem, now they gave us x squared minus 12x is equal to negative 27. So family, we can, with quadratics, you're going to be able to solve it 4, 5, 6 different ways. If you want to do completing the square, we can. So half of 12 is 6, 6 squared is 36. So when I write my perfect square trinomial, this is what I should have. Now this is an equation, meaning we have to balance it. So if I add 36 here, I got to add it there, right? Now we're going to break this back down to the binomial that gave us the answer. X minus 6 squared, that is equal to positive 9. Is it positive 9? Yeah, it is. Now we use the square root method to get rid of the exponent. So this turns into x minus 6 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 9. So now we have x minus 6 is equal to plus or minus 3. We add 6 on both sides. So we have x is equal to 6 plus or minus 3. That is our answer. That's how we get our two answers. But if it was me, this is how I solve this, right? Because we don't need to do all that. Add 27 on both sides. X squared minus 12x plus 27 is equal to 3, right? They have to multiply to give me 27, add to give me 12. X minus 9, x minus 3. 9 times 3 is positive 27. When we add them, that's going to give us 12. So we know x minus 9 is equal to 0. So x is equal to 9. Or if we're going to the second one and set it equal to 0, we know x is equal to 3. So just please remember when we talk about quadratics, family, they're going to give us a whole bunch of different quadratics, and it's best to know more than one way to solve. All right. So that's our first example. Now the next one is the same problem. Should I do that one? Yeah, I can do that one. All right, so in this problem, it's kind of the same thing. We're going to do completing the square, but with this one, they gave it to us as a trinomial, and we had to basically subtract 34. So we had x squared minus 12x is equal to negative 34, and we're going to go right back into completing the square. So we have x squared minus 12x plus 36 is equal to negative 34 plus 36. Break this back down to its binomial. X minus 6 squared is equal to 2. We're going to take the square root method to get rid of the exponent. So now I have x minus 6 is equal to plus or minus 2. We're going to add 6 on both sides. So x is equal to 6 plus or minus 2. And this is our final answer. Okay. All right, family. So we're getting ready to end the live stream. I'm about to do 2 more problems for you. And then if we need to come back and do another live stream, I know you guys are going to comment. You're going to let me know. Okay. So this is something else that you're going to definitely see. Right. So they gave us this. They gave us a quadratic formula. Y is equal to x squared plus 4x plus 4. So just remember, so if we go back to that previous problem, right? So remember, when you're completing the square, after we subtracted 34 to get this equation right here, right? To complete the square, we take half of the middle term and then square it. So half of 12 is 6. 6 squared is 36. So that's where we get it from. And wherever we add it there, you have to make sure you balance the equation by adding it on the other side. Now, when you see the equation change from this trinomial, x squared minus 12x minus 36, we're just writing it to the binomial that gave us that, x minus 6. Because if we multiplied it, right, same thing, any of these two expressions, same thing, we're going to get this right here, okay? So just so you guys know where I got that 36 from. Okay. As a matter of fact, let me just touch back on that problem. So when we get back to here, family, x minus 6, where was it again? X minus 6 squared is equal to 2, right? Remember, anytime you want to get rid of a exponent, you take its root. So this is why you see me take the square root. If this was x minus 6 to the third power, I would just take the cube root to cancel out the exponent with the radical. So this is the square root method, and this is what we have to do to get rid of our exponents. So once I do it on this side, I do the same thing over here. But this is not a perfect square, so it just stays under the radical. While this cancels out and we're left with x minus 6, this stays the same because we can't simplify it. Now, if it was a different problem, like when we had 9, right, we could simplify that to 3. So just understand why and how we were able to simplify for those who are asking in the comment section, okay? All right, so we're going to go back to this, and this has to do with a quadratic equation, right? And this is a perfect square trinomial. That's another thing too. So what we have to understand is, let's say they asked us for the vertex. You have, or the axis of symmetry, because these two are related. All right, and they're going to ask you it. This is the formula to get the axis of symmetry. You've seen it, the opposite of b or negative b over 2a. It comes straight from this formula, ax squared plus bx plus c. So now we take the b term, it's positive, but it says the opposite. So we have negative 4 over 2 times a is 1. So 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. So this is the x coordinate for our vertex, negative 2. So when we have our parabola, that axis of symmetry, the x that cuts it in half, is at negative 2. So I just need you guys to understand what this is. This is the x value for the vertex, and it cuts the parabola in half. Now, if you're someone who says, okay, I got that now, and now we need to figure out what exactly is the vertex, you're going to take this x and plug it in to figure out what is your y. So let's say we go back now, right? And I plug it in. So now I have y is equal to negative 2 squared plus 4 times negative 2 plus 4. All we do is simplify. Y is equal to 4 minus 8 plus 4. So we combine these two. Y is equal to negative 4 plus 4. So y is equal to 0. What does this mean? This means that the vertex for this parabola is at 2, 0. What are other questions they're going to ask you? So let's say this is the graph. If the vertex right here is negative 2, 0, what is the axis of symmetry? X is equal to negative 2. What is the lowest point on the graph? Negative 2, 0, because it opens up. What is the range? The range is y is greater than or equal to 0. What is the domain? It's typically all real numbers. So please understand this question and what they're really asking you, okay? Now, the last thing I'm going to tell you guys before we end the night is if they ask you for the y-intercept, it's a very simple thing. If this is 0 squared plus 4 times 0, all we're left with is 4. So if they ask you for the y-intercept, please don't fall for that trick, especially with quadratics. Just plug it in. Y is equal to 0 squared plus 4 times 0 plus 4. So we know y is equal to 4. This would be our y-intercept when x is equal to 0. All right. All right, guys. So look, we are done with the live stream, but I wasn't able to catch up with any comments. I'm about to look through right now and see if I could go over maybe 1, 2, possibly 3 more problems that I didn't touch on that you guys were interested in. And then we're going to end this live stream. Just remember, this is going to be live after, so you guys can watch it anytime you want. All right, are we talking about, all right, so absolute value. Okay, I got you. I got to find a question on absolute value. All right, I got y'all. All right, I think I found one for them. All right, so let's do this one. I think this should be a good one for them. Where is it? All right, family. So I'm going to do an absolute value equation for you. All right. So this is 1 out of 3. Thank you guys for coming and joining us. And like I said, man, if this is something that you guys are really nervous about, you're really, scared, join our membership, man. We have a lot of videos that are coming out that's really going to touch on every subject and all the standards that you guys need for the EOC. So I did this in a recent video, right? So let's say we had this problem. All right, so number 1, with absolute value, it can never be negative. It cannot be negative. So if this was just like this, we would put no solution because we can't take the absolute value of a negative number. It has to be positive. However, when we have absolute value, the biggest thing we need to do is to get the absolute value absolutely by itself. So I'm going to divide by -5. All right, so now the absolute value of 6x plus 21 is equal to +3. Now that it is positive, I am able to now drop the absolute value brackets and create 2 equations. So the first equation is the same thing you see. The second equation is the same thing, but now our constant, or what the equation is equal to, is negative. Okay? And now it turns into a regular 2-step or multi-step equation. Subtract 21, 6x is equal to -18. I divide by 6, x is equal to -3. First answer. Second one is the same exact steps. The only difference is 3 is negative. So when we combine, it's going to be a different way we combine it. We're going to get -24. Divide by 6 again. X is equal to -4. So for that one follower that asked me that, when we're solving absolute value, we have to get the absolute value by itself, and whatever it's equal to has to be positive. If it's negative, we can't solve it. It's no solution. Okay? Rise over run. What exactly would rise over run? Yes. So the first equation, after you isolate it, it's going to be absolutely by itself. It's going to be positive. Then second equation, you will make what is equal to negative. Absolutely. It should be two equations. Yes. All right. So I'm not sure about the rise over run. I need a little bit more context. Slope. What about slope? Standard form, how to find it. If it's from a graph, I have to make a different video because it's hard to draw here. All right. So slope is on my mind. Okay. I could do a perpendicular one for you. I got you. I have one right here for you. You're good, Ace of Guitar. So I did do perpendicular and standard form earlier, but I'm gonna do an equation from one of our earlier videos this week. So, yes, we could do this problem. So we got 3, 7, and we got 7, 4. And basically, let's see. No, that's not going to be a good one for perpendicular. Thank you. All right, so let's try this one, okay? I got one for find the equation of a line that passes through a point and is perpendicular. Okay, I got y'all. Okay. So is that all that the question asks me? Let's see. Okay, so it asks us to write the equation of a line that passes through this point and is parallel to this. So if you remember what I told you guys about parallel slopes, they are the same. However, the trick here is that this y is not by itself, so we have to get it by itself. So we're going to divide everything by 2. So y is equal to x over 2 minus 2. All right, so the slope that we are going to use is 1 over 2. So when we go to the point slope formula, right, which is this right here, the new equation, because it's parallel, it'll have the same slope as the equation they told us. So now we just plug in y plus 8 is equal to 1/2 times x plus 2, right? So now we have y plus 8 is equal to 1/2 x plus 1. Y is still not by itself, so I'm going to subtract 8. Y is equal to 1/2 x minus 7. So that would be my equation. Now let's say if they asked us for the perpendicular. They're talking about perpendicular now. So remember, negative reciprocal slope. So instead of it being positive, it's going to be negative. Instead of 1 over 2, it's now negative 2. Same point, we're just talking about perpendicular. So I'm going to use the same equation. Y plus 8 is equal to what? The perpendicular slope, which is negative 2, times x plus 2, right? Okay, yeah, that's good. So when we simplify, y plus 8 is equal to negative 2x minus 4. I subtract 8 to combine on both sides. Y is equal to negative 2x minus 12. So that would be the equation for the perpendicular slope. And let's just double check the work. Yep, negative 2x minus 4. Yeah, that looks right. All right, so family, look, we're about to wrap it up. I got one more that I'm going to go over. And if I need to come back tomorrow night, Monday night, Tuesday night to do another EOC live stream, like this video and just tell me down below, do another live stream, and I got y'all. Okay. Let's see, what else could we do? Yes, most of the test is going to be multiple choice, family. Because of time, I'm not able to write down all the answers. Let's see. All right, I think that's it, family. So we're gonna end the live stream for tonight. Thank you guys so much for sticking with us. I know an hour and a half on math is a lot, but like I said, comment down below that you want another EOC, and I'll get you one more this week. And after this, if you need more help, family, just join our membership program. It's gonna be this on steroids. And as you can see, there's plenty of people who have already passed. And thank you guys so much for continuing to watch our show and support us. We love you guys, and good luck this week on your EOC. Check the videos down below. They will be also helpful resources. Thank you guys.